Coach Frazier, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing?
Okay, I hope you had a good Christmas, man. I'm doing good.
Yeah, I had a great Christmas, Coach, especially when your defense can force New England to go 1 for 10 on third down. I know you love that one as well. Just care to talk about how your defense played aggressive yesterday.
Yeah, they really did a good job in a lot of ways, helping to force that quarterback to make some throws. I mean, we weren't always perfect in the run game, but we were able to find ways to get them into some third and longs and be able to find ways to not let them have success on third down, which gave our offense more opportunities. So it was really good in that way. Not giving up the long 64-yard run, that was a good thing, but our guys played hard, came away with some big takeaways, and just was really good to see.
Yeah, it was really good to see that they was really on it with that sweep. I mean, they tried to get y'all, even try to throw the sweep on the weak side, but, your guys was there to, they was in their gap and doing an awesome job. So that's a good testament to the game plan you displayed out there. But, Coach, what is necessary? What do you think is necessary for you guys to continue to be in this driver's seat to remain in 2 games?
Well, Mookie, it's just a matter of coming to work every day, just working as hard as you can and preparing the right way. We talked about this a little bit on the plane with some of our players coming back last night, just making sure we come back in on Wednesday when the guys are back in the building with that mindset that, we're not going to have a letdown after a very emotional game on the road against a divisional rival. So that's what it comes back to, just making sure we have the right mindset and really approaching this thing the right way. There's so much at stake in each one of these remaining games in our regular season that we got to be on point in our preparation, and I think our guys will be.
Absolutely, and speaking of that, you got a guy like Cordell Patterson. He's a do-it-all guy, a receiver that's playing running back. So I know you probably haven't seen too much film on Cordell in Atlanta just yet, but what do you take from a guy with Cordell Patterson magnitude?
No CP well, drafted him in Minnesota, good player. He's bounced around a little bit here in his career, but like you said, he's a versatile guy. At one point was one of the top kickoff return guys in our league. And I'm sure he's still capable of doing that, but they're using him more as a running back / receiver now. And he's having a good season. He's become really the go-to guy along with Kyle Pitts in their offense, and really happy for him. He's doing a great job for them.
No doubt, Coach. Have a great week of practice and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Same to you.
Hi, Leslie. You guys have a really good problem in that you have really strong depth on both sides of the ball. You see a game like Isaiah had, whenever AJ Klein's gotten into the game, it seems like he makes his mark somehow. I mean, that play that he made to tip that pass, you can see it on the replay. It's almost like he recognized that Saran was going to get targeted on the play, kind of shifted over there and made a play. Is there ever a point where you're like sitting back, maybe talking in the locker room, like, man, I'd like to see more of AJ Klein. We just can't get him out there enough.
No, anytime AJ's had a chance to play, Matt, you're right. He's really come up big for us. And that was a huge play yesterday for us when he got that tip ball and Micah ends up coming away with the pick. But he's done that for us. Even going back to last season when he had to step in when Matt was injured and coming up with big plays in the Seattle game, the Chargers game. He's done some good things for us. So we know if we lose someone at the linebacker position for any reason, we have a capable backup in AJ. He can play all 3 positions, and that's a luxury in itself to have a guy in that role. So we're fortunate to have him on our team.
I know you're focused on this year, and you probably don't want to talk too much about it, but I am curious, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, is there any reservations about going back into a head coach interview, knowing, maybe the disappointment that you had last time, or is it something where you approach each opportunity with, a brand new kind of clean slate?
Yeah, I think, Matt, you have to move on and really focus on the now. And so if an opportunity were to present itself, then you would, you want to assess it and just make a good decision. But you really don't want things that have happened in the past to hold you back from the future. You really got to move forward, and you just want to assess each situation. But for me, as you mentioned, the focus is on what we got to get done here in this ball game against Atlanta, which is huge for what we're trying to get accomplished as a team.
Thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Yes, good afternoon, Coach Frazier. George Radney, Challenger Community News. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, George. How are you?
Pretty good. And I'm just wondering what has happened since the second half of the Tampa Bay game. It seems like the defense has become much more aggressive and going after the offense. They really, you can just see it even on TV. You're looking like, wow, the guys are coming off the ball. What do you think happened? What happened in that locker room at halftime of that Tampa game that seemed to get these guys going in the right direction?
Yeah, I think it was always there. Just for whatever reason, we hit a bump in the road, but the guys are really playing hard. They're doing a really good job of preparing for each opponent, and we'll need that again this week. That great preparation leading up to the ball game, and then going out on the field on that Sunday and really playing at a high level. But I think that fire has always been there. As I mentioned, just in our league, sometimes there are some bumps in the road, and you just got to be able to get through those and get to the other side.
Yeah, do you think the defense yesterday forced their will on the Patriots? That's the first time I've seen in a long time Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn, two of the linemen, really get off their game, and they were trying to go into the defensive huddle at times to talk to people. So you usually don't see a Belichick team that it seemed like they understood the importance of the game.
Yeah, it's such a competitive game. Every time you line up, I mean, the emotions are high. Guys want to win, they want to succeed, and it's just the way it is out there. You're battling, you're fighting, scratching and clawing every single play to try to win that play. And sometimes your emotions can get the best of you. You try your best to contain those, but it's such a competitive business. It's tough at times.
And last but not least, Tremaine Edmonds, what would you say of his play yesterday?
Yeah, Tremaine did a really good job for us. Speaking of physicality, he had some physical tackles yesterday, boy. I mean, really, really proud of the way he stepped up and used his hands, got off of blocks, and was physical in his tackling, was really good in his coverage throughout the day. So just a good job by Tremaine all the way around.
Great, thank you very much. I think Trent Brown was looking for him too, but hey, it was a good game. He was outstanding out there yesterday. Thank you very much, and good luck this coming Sunday.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Leslie. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. In yesterday's game, what challenges presented themselves with defensive line coach Eric Washington out with COVID, and how did you prepare for that unique situation?
Yeah, without a doubt, it was a challenge without Eric. He's been such a big part of our defense over the last 2 seasons, and to not have him, I called him early in the day of the ball game, and even the night before, just telling him just his presence on the airplane, his presence in the hotel, just missing him, and having some of those conversations that we would have during the course of the day. And then as I was sitting in the locker room, and I'm so used to my locker not being very far from his, just being able to dialogue with him prior to the game, and he wasn't there, so it was weird. But kudos to Jock. Jock did a great job of being an understudy of Eric, and then having to step in and fill those shoes, which are big shoes. But he did a really good job, and the guys responded to his coaching and his leadership, which is really, really good to see. And hopefully we'll get Eric back soon. But Jock did a terrific job yesterday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie, it's Kim Jones. How are you?
Good to see you, Kim. Doing good.
It's great to see you. In observing your defense over these past few years, I note obviously the very strong leadership, perhaps most notably from those safeties, and obviously the great Tre'Davious White, who you don't have now. But I've always thought of your defense as being very proud. And I just wonder, I know the result matters most and you love the result, but how much did they need that performance in your mind against a Patriots team, odds seemingly stacked against you guys, most notably because it was a road game and you really needed to get it? How much did they need that, in your opinion?
You're right. They are a prideful group, and that has a lot to do with the success they've had over the years. They take a lot of pride in their work. But I think it was as much about a divisional opponent on the road. Yes, there's some added flavor because of who that opponent is, but I really believe no matter who it was at this stage of our season, the guys were really focused on going out and getting a win. And obviously, what we had experienced a few weeks ago when we played New England, that comes into play as well when it comes to the pride factor. And guys wanted to go out and show that, hey, we can get this done. And they did a terrific job throughout the ball game.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. Just wanted to ask you, it was kind of a weird statistical game. I think you mentioned last week that, you usually plan on other teams having like 10 possessions. They only had 8. And their first 2 in the second half were pretty extended. They reached the end zone. And then, obviously got the interception late. What did you see in the second half that was hurting you guys defensively, did you think?
Jay, on a couple of those drives, they were able to get some explosives, one through a penalty. And in that first drive, come out of the half, they had an explosive run. And that's to their favor. It's hard for them when they don't get explosives, whether it be in a passing game or run game, and we allowed that to happen. And that really gave them some momentum. And that was probably the difference in those 2 drives, just the explosive plays.
Okay. And I want to ask you about snap counts for a couple of guys. F.A. Obata was second only to Ed yesterday on the D-line. What's that say about, the trust that you guys have in him and maybe what he's shown you to get that much playing time?
Yeah, some of it's circumstantial, but also the fact that F.A., just like you mentioned, alluded to, he's done some things to gain our confidence. He's really done a really good job when he's gotten out there and gotten his opportunities. And it really has shown us as coaches, we need to give him more opportunities. So he's come up with some splash plays for us that we've been lacking at times. And so we wanted to give him more opportunities just to see what he was able to do. And he did a good job for us yesterday. When he had his one-on-ones, he was able to hurt the quarterback and get around the quarterback is what we needed. And so he's earned that right to get more snaps, and we look forward to seeing how he progresses.
Thanks. And then the last guy was Saran. He had maybe 12 snaps, something like that. Was that related to anything with Dane in terms of an injury, or was it you guys wanting to maybe take a look at Saran with the starting defense?
Yeah, I don't think I'm giving away any secrets here. It was just personnel driven. It was just they went with one personnel group. We went with a different personnel group just to match what they were doing. And that was something we did for that game. And I don't know if we do it again in the future, but that's all it was, just matching personnel.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks, Leslie. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie. Good to see you. I was wondering about Eli Anku. I know he's someone who hasn't had a ton of snaps in games, but could you tell us some things maybe you see behind the scenes, whether at practice with the guys or his personality of what he brings to this team?
Yeah, Kat, I think one of the pluses for us as a staff is the fact that, he has some skin on the wall. He's played the games. He's been in situations similar to the ones that we're in now, battling and fighting and trying to help a team get into the playoffs. And that helps. And then when he's on the field, because of his experience, he's able to make some things happen for us. He gave us great push in the middle yesterday, which we needed from our inside guys to try to get the quarterback off the spot. And he's done that when he's had a chance to play for us, even in the New Orleans game, the Tampa game, being able to get a push up the middle because he's such a strong, forceful guy. But also his preparation and his maturity is what gives us confidence. He's a guy who does a great job in preparing for each opponent. And he's a very mature player because of his experience. And, he's a kind of a quiet leader just by his example, the way he prepares, the way he practices. And then he goes out and plays extremely hard for us in the run game, which is, where we needed some help at. So he's really been good for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie, John Worrell. How you doing?
Hey, John. Hey, John.
Good. It's a bit of a strange question, but it's about Isaiah McKenzie. And he talked about I spoke to him and he talked about what he provides the defense in looks when he's working with the scout team. And from what you've seen, from his work in the scout team, were you surprised at what he was capable of doing, yesterday on the field?
Man, that's a good question because we're always teasing him, John. It gives us such a good look when he's playing scout team receiving. Usually he's the slot receiver at time, most of the time, if they have a good slot, if they have a good number one receiver outside, he's that guy as well. We've even had him to mirror these option style quarterbacks or zone read style quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and others. And he's done a terrific job in that as well. So he always gives us a great look at whatever position we put him in. And so to answer your question, no, I was not surprised by the results we got yesterday when he was targeted. He does it in practice. He gives us great looks, and you can see that he's capable. So I'm really happy for him that he got those opportunities and he was able to come through for our team. Did a terrific job.
And Brian Dable always talks about how special he is to him. Just what do you make of a player? And as a defensive back, you know this. It's like you have one bad play and you can get down, and people get benched. But what do you say about that mentality that Isaiah brings? That 3 weeks ago he was benched, and suddenly you see him coming up in a big game to do what he's capable of doing after the ups and downs he's had. What does that say to him about as a person, as a player?
Well, it definitely speaks to his mental toughness. I don't know if you remember, John, we were playing the Jets, I think in 2019, the last game of the season, and we were holding out our starters, or most of our starters in the secondary, and we got depleted. And we turned to Isaiah and put him in the game at corner. And he didn't blink, man. He went out there and played for us. We were coaching him from the sideline. John Butler was yelling at him, hey, do this, do that. And it just goes to show you the type of player he is and the type of mentality he has. And mentally tough guy who doesn't get shaken. And I know it wasn't easy for him when he was taken out of the lineup and wasn't able to dress, but he used that as a positive to motivate him to come back and do what he did yesterday. And that says a lot about his character and a lot about him as a person.
Wonderful. Thanks very much, Leslie.
You're welcome.